Yep.
You know, so I don't, you know, I do it every day. I don't bet every day, but I'm always going through the races, going over races and all that sort of thing. So this is how I make a living, is punting.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And it's a hard game, but you know, I wouldn't want to do it. I was a chef for 40 years and used to punt on the side. Then one day a boss gave me the shits and I just went, fuck you, I'm going to go and do racing full time.
Yeah, right.
And that's how I was doing it virtually, on the side full time. And then that's how I got into it. And but I've been doing it since I was a young fella.
Yeah, you know, you always like to have a bet and that and muck around, but yeah, now I'm earning a bit more money. You know, it's probably getting a bit more serious. You know.
And what areas do you dogs, trots, or?
Just mainly the thoroughbreds, mainly.
Me too.
You know, like I was last Friday night.
Yep. Go on, Jason.
Yeah, well, last Friday night I was sitting down watching the rugby league, and it was bloody Parramatta and St George, and St George were paying $4.50 for the win, and I thought that was, you know, a pretty good price, like a pretty good price for them, you know. So I just had $10 on them, you know, and they got up, you know. Like I normally don't, you know. I normally don't back the league or anything like that. It's just mainly thoroughbreds. But if I get a tip here or a tip there, or you know, if the situation arises, I'll probably bet on anything. You know.
Yeah. Well, I've never had a bet. I've never had a bet on a dog, and I've never had a bet on in the sports. And I've only ever backed one trotter.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
So I'm pretty disciplined because I just like the thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what got me in when I was a young fella, was the trots. I used to go to the trots with my mates. Old man had a few trotters and that, and we used to go and have our 50-cent bets and dollar bets and shit like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But they always say once you're betting it, you know, it doesn't tend to get you away from it. I mean, I took a 7-year-old. Me and another guy took a horse to the races. And the horse won the race. We sold lemonade bottles to back it. Ran around the betting ring, pulling on guys' pants, you know, put a bet on. And the horse won the race, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, right.
I was hooked for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm 62 now.
Yeah, right.
And then when I got here, I lost money for about 5 years, and then I thought, why do those guys over there make all the money and I'm losing the money? So I just went and asked a whole lot of questions. And one guy said, start doing ratings. And that's how I got onto Don Scott. And that's where I went. And I've been 100% a rater ever since. I wouldn't have a bet without using my ratings. Gary's the same.
Yep.
Gary's a rater, you know, and I do all my own markets and everything. I don't listen to anything a bookmaker writes up or anything like that. I use where the money movers are, and then I look at what my information's doing, and that's all I follow.
Yeah, right.
And you know, you don't win every single weekend, but you know, you win more than you lose.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'll back 2, 3, 4 horses in a race. And that to win a percentage, as long as I'm getting over my rated price or over my rated price, and then, you know, 1 in every 3 or 1 in every 4 weekends, you'll have a phenomenal weekend.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, that's what I find too. Every now and then you'll have a good weekend. Everything will slip, just kind of slip. Like the weekend before, you're getting beaten by a nose, and the next weekend you're winning by a nose, type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I had a couple of those on the weekend, you know. A couple won by a nose and a couple got pipped by a nose.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the weekend, I was a couple of $100 down. By the end of by the time I'd done what races I wanted to do, but I hadn't lost the shirt off my back.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing. And then on the Sunday, I got the money back. And, you know, and I don't bet Mondays and Tuesdays normally unless it's a public holiday or something like that.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays are probably my major days. Love Saturdays because we get a better class of horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's yeah, I do. Like I've got the black bookers up today for the last couple of weeks, that sort of thing, and I spend a lot of time on that. I love helping the guys understand, you know, when it comes to the punting, the logics of it. You know, I mean, I can't believe how many guys walk into a pub tab or whatever, and I say to them, "Do you ever look at those ratings on the wall?" And they go, "No, never looked at them in my life." And I just think, you must have fucking rocks in your head. You know, because that points you in the direct, that just those alone can point you in the direction of a good betting race and a bad betting race.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you'd have to agree with me there, wouldn't you, Gary?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have to do ratings. I have to do the form, and I have to do every horse in the race to understand it.
Exactly.
Because,
yep.
You know, I might throw them out pretty quickly because they got no chance, but I do look at every horse.
Yeah, yeah.
You just can't skim through. And, you know, over the time I've tried to help a couple of other people I know who do ratings, or they've tried to. And then when they've sent them through, what they do is they cheat, because what they're doing is they're just doing those ones at the top of the market, or they're biased towards it. As you know, the way ratings work is you can't have any bias. You've got to have your structure and what you do. Yep. And the best thing about ratings are, hey, 1 week you like it because it comes up right. The next week you don't because it's the wrong type of race. Whereas the people who back a horse regardless, unless they own it, and that's a different thing because it's like backing a football team or something, really in racing, you know, it's every race is a very different set of circumstances.
Yep. I'll look at it, like with the ratings, I'll look at a race. If my market's the same as a bookmaker, it's a no-bet race, you know, because I can't make any money on it. But if I look at a race and my favourite is completely the opposite to theirs, and 3 or 4 of them are completely, I know I've got an upside-down race, and that's the race I'll bet a bit heavier in. Because they're the ones that give you the good returns.
Absolutely.
You know,
as you know, sometimes you've got to do a lot of races to get those, because you can just do it. You can do a program sometimes of 5 or 6 or 8 races, and you struggle to get many bets because you're with the market or they're too short, and you just let it go. Yeah,
and then you'll have 3 or 4 races and you'll just miss out on, and then you'll have that one race that gives you that huge return.
Yeah,
the whole day and your profit, you're out.
Well, that's right. I think the other thing I would say, the best thing I reckon I've learned, and people who make any money in it, you've got to write down all your bets and keep your records accurately, because otherwise you're lying to yourself. And if you talk to a lot of people, that's what they don't do. They don't want to know if they win or lose.
No. And
that's recreational, and that's different.
And what it does when you write it down, it shows you the pattern where you're winning and where you're not. And you can work out a structure to how you want to bet.
Yep. Every day I write down every bet, how I do it, if it's quaddies, if it's exactors, win betting, pricing off whatever, each stake, the whole lot. And then I do it every month, and I analyse it, and I keep it month by month.
Yeah.
And, so otherwise, because what we do is we remember when we have certain big results.
Yes.
But you've got to look at it overall to go, what is my profit loss?
You do. See, I work everything on 1% of my banks.
Right.
Everything I do is 1%. So as it goes up, you can increase your bets. It goes down, you decrease your bets. So you've always got 100 bets before you go broke. If you go broke after 100 bets, you shouldn't be betting.
No, that's right. Yeah. And as we know in this game, like you were talking before about runs, what I find is you have runs where the heads up, heads go downs go for you, and then you have these incredible runs where just nothing happens. You know, your big results, you keep getting the 3 legs of the quaddie in, and that super result just goes the wrong way, and it happens for a few weeks. That's why you've got to have a bank. You've got to bet to your bank, and you've got to keep going with it, because the game can be very cruel.
Oh, for sure.
When you're having a bad run, you know, it's the horse gets blocked, whatever, right? The other one just gets up, something happens. I mean, geez.
Yep.
As we know.
Yep.
But if you bet a lot like we do, I always say it swings and roundabouts and it balances itself out in the end. And it's a bit like interference. One thing I've learned over the years, I've got some friends who do it always moaning and blaming jockeys. I go, you know what? Today you had the bad ones, but how many times have you collected because the horse who should have beaten you actually got the interference? So again, I look at it as swings and roundabouts.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's not one thing you can blame in a horse race. Like, I love guys that say, oh, there's a bias to the track. I was saying there was a bias at Caulfield on Saturday, but they were winning from the front and they were winning from the back. And that's the same for Flemington the week before. They were winning from the back and they were winning leading all the way.
Yep. I actually write, I keep bias reports on every meeting in New South Wales. I do actually mark down how many are coming off the front, the first four or whatever major bias. There are meetings where every winner will come 1 to 3. That's different. I need to know then, especially on certain tracks. So I keep that and stats on certain barriers as well, with the distances and all that.
And Canterbury is a prime example of being on the pace.
Yeah.
Canterbury, if they're on the pace in the top 3, 9 times out of 10, they win the race.
Yeah, and a lot of country, like Lismore's another track as well, where you've got to be right on the pace, right? You don't want to be coming from behind at some of those tracks. And that's the other thing I find. Those sort of tracks, certainly local knowledge, like we were talking the other day, it's about knowing the right knowledge. Yesterday I did very well at Grafton. I did 6 races at Grafton. I rated. I bet in 5 and got 4 winners, so I had a very good day.
Yeah.
But that was a good 4 track. I knew looking at that meeting, it was, as soon as I started doing it, I got excited. It was my type of meeting.
Yeah. Well, see, I bet in Melbourne and I bet in Brisbane.
Yeah.
I only bet in Sydney and that during the carnivals because I know I'm getting value in the markets.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I look for. I look for those races where I've got the value. I look at what ratings I have, then I look at how my ratings are looking towards theirs.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at a race, there's 15 horses. I know the sort of top 7 that I think have got the show of winning the race based on my ratings, and then I try and whittle it down to 4. But if I have to back 5 or 6 in a race, long as I'm making at least 15%, it's worth doing it. And I'm quite happy if I say I was outlaying to my takeout would be $100, and I'm beating 80% in the market. If I'm only making $20, but I make $20 on every bet that I have for the day, I'm quite happy at the end of it.
Right.
I'm not. It just depends on the class races. Hello, John. I think he's just getting his internet going.
Just getting connected.
Yeah, there he is. So, I've always done ratings, Jace. Always. I won't even look at a race without my ratings. And I think you're probably the same, aren't you, Gary?
Oh, 100%. Look, I specialise. I noticed before you said about you do those other. My favourite days are actually Mondays and Fridays.
Yep.
I really like those meetings because again, I do well in the country. Those type of meetings, there's a distinctive edge because I keep the database. I've got every start for all the horses, and I do track. So I spend a lot of post race analysis as well.
Yep.
So, like I did say the other day, I subscribe to the sectional, so I also get the lane reports, so every lane that a horse runs in, and the margins and wide. So I've actually tracked how for every horse going around the turns, how much extra ground they travel. I have that for every horse in New South Wales. I punch that in every week.
Yep.
When I get that through.
If a horse is 3 wide and over 1,600, he runs virtually 150 metres longer.
Every track's different. I had a guy do it for me off. We did it off Google Maps, so I've actually mapped every race, every track in Australia I've got.
Yeah. We
actually sat down. There's a group of us. We did every track in Australia. Took us a long time, and then we get that data and we actually put that in. It makes a big difference to our base ratings.
Shit. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I spend about 15 hours a week on post data a week.
Yeah, right, man.
Yeah.
So have you got a spreadsheet to do that stuff, or
no? I subscribe to a database. So I input it all in and I've customized it myself. And I also subscribe to getting some sectional data, etc. So I can just get it all updated and all the rest. And then that helps. But I also put a lot of my own comments in and all that, and look at a lot of replays.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yep. And I've got two others who have got, they do other jurisdictions. So between us, we've got it that we actually can share. So if I update sectional data or wides data, they're doing other states. I only have to do New South Wales, which is the biggest ones, and somebody else I've got doing South Australia, Western Australia, and another one doing Victoria. So we're always up to date. But it does make a difference on those. And we don't do the wides for horses if the track rating's over 7, because sometimes it's a better track out there than on the rails. But on the good tracks, and that it makes it. It's certainly something I got put onto in the last couple of years that I'm seeing is an edge that a lot of people don't do.
Yep.
And those horses who do cover 3 and 4 wide, yeah, they get killed. They need to get compensation.
Definitely. See, I've got programs I can put pluses and minuses and all those sort of things.
Yep.
And they instantly adjust to the price.
Right. Yep.
You know, so and I do everything to a price.
Yeah. So do I. Yeah.
Kev.
Yeah. No, I price.
That's it. Beautiful. Hello, Kev.
Hey, how you going?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Not too bad. It's first time using this, so I was just getting used to all the video and that.
Yeah. It doesn't take long to work out. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So, have any of you got any questions that you want to put up? And I've got a couple of questions there that I want to, answer for guys. Because I've had a few people ask me, like, one of the questions, how do you work out value to overlay? What does that mean? Because one guy said to me today, how do you work out ratings? Well, that takes a lot of work to work it out. And are places out there you can get stuff, but there's places you can go and get it for free and then play with it yourself. Especially on the Don Scott method. I've got my programming I've had for 25 years. And I don't tinker with it because I'm happy with what it gives me. The way it works. And mine works off about 40 or 45 different algorithms. And same as with yours, Gary. Puts a lot of information into it. You start with what they call a base rating for a race, based on their full form, their present form, and their returns. What they've done in the past. And mine takes into account speed ratings, weight ratings, the last 12 months, lifetime ratings, present ratings, distance, class, time rating, and weight rating. So it sounds like a lot, but that's what it takes it all into account when it's doing it. And each one's probably got 10 different algorithms with it. And then I can put a scratching in and it will instantly change the market.
Right. Okay.
So I don't have to work it or anything. It's just a click of a button. And the reason I do it like that is I can look at 40 races and pick 5.
Okay. Yep.
And I like the races when, I don't mind races when my ratings say it's 6-1 the field, but that 6-1 the field, the top 10 horses might be between 6-1 and 15-1. That to me tells me that no one really knows how the market is, and you can quite often get good value out of a race like that. And I've had maybe 1,200 to 1 shots this year or more. My highest paying horse on Betfair selling price is 287. And, and then I've had other days where I've had 6 or 7 races in a row where I've had second by a half head. Like Thursday was a prime example on Accelerator. I think it was Thursday. I had 12 seconds.
Jeez. Okay. Yep.
So I had 7 winners and the 12 seconds, and it happened also a couple of weeks ago. The 12 seconds, I think 9 of them were in the lead at the 50-meter mark. And I've got run down. I think I had 5 or 6 seconds at Ipswich or Doomben. But I don't bet in every race. Like I can do the Accelerator, and I'll look at the money movers. I'll look at my rated price. I'll look at what's giving me good value, and then I'll look at, all of my form side of it. And if it's top of everything, I'll back it. And a really good example was that thing that ran, I think it won race 7 or 8 at Sydney on Saturday. Can't remember the name of it. Hold on, I'll see if I can find it for you. But it was you can be given 3 or 4 best bets, and that on, like, even when I do the free stuff, but you still need to do a little bit of homework on it, to make sure they all sort of marry up. I say to the guys, especially on the frees or whatever, the money movers on a Saturday is quite significant in the even just in the free stuff I put up. Because you'll find, and especially in the proven races, the younger races, they're either heavily backed or they're not heavily backed, and they'll either win or they'll won't run a drum, that sort of thing. But the races where you get 2 or 3, and in the proven race horses, you'll quite often, like I think Sydney, the last 5 won. The week before, there were 6 winners in the 6 races in the last 6 races at Caulfield or Flemington, that sort of thing in the money movers. A couple of weeks ago, the money movers had the quaddie in Melbourne, which paid 3,500. So it's quite, what I find is the significance of the money movers is the Friday night, the guys that go into the markets early, trying to get that little bit of value out of the market. That's you can tell by how much money's in the market, because I've got programs that show me where the big bets are going, and you can see it, and it tells you, where what I call smart money. You can look at Betfair when they're betting, and it'll have 200 or 300 you can match on, but then really on the races, on the horses that are really getting heavily backed, they'll have 4,000 or 5,000 that can be matched. And that by that on Betfair, you've got the price in the blue column. You have the price, and underneath it's telling you how much is trying to get matched on bets. And then you'll see, guys, it'll change like 1,000, 900, 830, 893, whatever, and they're trying to get someone to take the match for them at that price. So that gives you an indication. And then by using Betfair Live, then you can see how much is matched on each runner. And 9 times out of 10, there's only 4 or 5 that have got the majority of the money. So, and you can keep some and you can cut some out quite easily. It's like when I look at the ratings for the pub, from say the tote. If I see a race with a 100 rater and it's down to say 92, and it's a 15 horse field, I know statistically there's only 2 legs between first and last. So that's an open race to be able to find value. And then if I want to really pinpoint horses, you might have a race where one's 100, one's 99, the next one in the race is 85. There's really only 2 horses in the race, class-wise. So, and it's like with black bookers, you'll notice with a lot of my black bookers are based a lot on the winners. Because the way I see it is if you're looking at horses that run on all the time, 90% of the time they always run on. But if you get horses that win, they have a high win percentage, and they consistently win races. Yeah, sort of agree with that. And ratings point you in that direction.
Absolutely. Being up on the pace, I think, is a major advantage at all times, because you make your own luck. Like you said about horses, these guys who follow the ones who give out the black bookers are coming from last all the time. The problem is they'll be still coming from last next time. Yep. You've got to have a lot of luck. And they keep running up the backsides of other horses. Yes, if they get through, they look fantastic. But you know what? The horse who's sitting up second or third or up there leading, they make their own luck.
And then that depends on the track too.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely.
Way back at Flemington, you'd know he's got plenty of time to get there.
Yeah.
But if you had a horse way back at Moonee Valley and he's on the inside, Wow, mate, he's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, I like Moonee Valley, you know,
Yep.
I mean, like I always say, Flemington's my favourite course because I think every horse gets a chance. And people say, a little example is like Gay Waterhouse, they go, oh, yeah, but she's full of herself, whatever. But her horses, when they're when they're in form, they're fit and they're always on pace. And horses on pace do not get in trouble.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. And that's what I try and say to guys. Look where speed maps, look what's in the top 4 or 5 on a speed map, especially tighter tracks. And then when you get to Flemington, look at the horses that have got good form on big tracks. Because they're normally big striders, they like to have that room to move.
Yep.
You know, and that's I've always been the same with the way I do my racing. And I can have a bet in the first race and wait all day and have a bet in the last. And most people think how can you sit there all day? Well, it's about following them and getting something for the future. That's how I sort of take it into account when I'm trying to do it. You know, I'm happy to have a multi in the first race and the last race. You know, like I rated that thing that won the last at Flemington Caulfield on Saturday, the thing Pikey Road. I rated that at $2.25, and I knew I was never going to get the price on it at all. So I always knew it was going to be a no-bet race, and it was the heaviest back horse all day.
The next horse was about 9-1 or something, wasn't it?
Yep.
In the race.
And the difference in the market, Jace, was just on Betfair alone. I think there was just under $1 million in the pool, and it was carrying 600,000, 650,000.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Well, that's why I backed it, because it was just it was the heaviest back by far.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of guys, what I don't understand, guys go, oh, there's no value in it.
Mm.
And I always say to guys, well, go to the fucking bank and ask them to give you $100 back for $100 outlay and give it in 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Mm.
You know, I know they'll say, fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah, I like, if it's winning, well, it doesn't matter what it pays, really. Like,
yeah.
I don't, as long as you're getting money back.
Yeah, and if you don't want to back them, use those horses to double a multi.
Yeah.
They're the ones that you need to use. They're like your nest egg to take a multi from $1,000 multi to a $2,000 multi.
Mm.
You know, by just having what you know is a pretty good bet.
Been getting a lot of bloody tips through first starters in a race.
Yeah.
And I can't understand why they're so short. Talking about short price, like they're having their first run in a race, and they're $1.60 or $1.70. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I had one come through today for Thursday, and it's paying $1.80, and it's having its first start in a race. It's crazy.
I wouldn't.
No, I don't.
I don't. I very seldom would have a bet in a maiden race.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, very, very, very seldom. There was one on the weekend on Sunday, which I've actually put it in as one of my black bookers. I'll just go and grab it for you guys. Hold on. Give me half a second and I'll tell you what it is. All right, I just got to lift my page back up. But so much stuff on my computer, so this week, and they should be up there anyway, the black bookers. So, and when I do the black bookers also, guys, what I do is I put in the steward's report, I put in the video so you can go and have a look at it as well and make a judgment for yourself. And I put a description in on why I've used that horse, and then I'll follow them for 3 starts. But if they win the next start or the start after, I'll throw them out. You know, it's the same as with my best bets. When I put them up, they're at the top of their ratings. So even if they don't win on that day, you should write them down and follow them. All right, because they're at the peak of their form. Yeah, and that's even on the free stuff. You know, I try and find winners for the free stuff. I had, 3 out of 5 on Sunday, and one of them ran second as well. And they were all, I think one paid $6.90, $5.20, and $3.50 or something. You know, so they were reasonable prices. That now on so from Flemington, I really like that coming around. I think he's got a bit of class about him. The thing I liked about him, once he found that gap in the straight at Flemington, and he let down, like once he got into stride, and horses take 200 metres to get into stride, and he had a bit of a buffering time at about the 350, but boy, he just pulled away, and he won like a good horse. Yeah, and there's not a lot of them. That Jittery Jack that won the last race, he spent probably the first 600 metres, like having to spend a bit of energy 3 wide to get to the front, and then he ran sectionals of I think it was like 11:33, 11:80, which is quite fast, and then he pulled away from the field at the end. So that tells you that he's very, very fit, right? And he gets placed in the right sort of races. The jockey did get a bit of a holiday for using the whip more than 10 times, but who gives a crap if you've backed it? You know, I think it's a bit of a silly rule, but you go back and you look at the Kingston Town days. I mean, Jesus, Kingston Town was getting a whacking from the 600, and he would have got 45 whacks before he hit the post.
And the whips were a bit different too.
Yeah, just slightly, weren't they? I mean, I used to watch. I'll tell you a little story. I stood next to a guy at the races once when Kingston Town was running. There was a 5-horse field. It was at Rose Hill. He was in behind the front 4 horses, and we were standing in a line, and he just stuck his nose through and just won the race. And this guy said to me, "Holy fuck," he said, "I had 10 grand on that for my dad." In those days, I was a $5-10 punter, and he said he had 10 grand on it. I just filled my pants. I just thought, Jesus. And in those days, I was earning $108 a week. So it shows you the sort of, and they're just some of the little stories I can talk about with racing. And I've got some pretty funny stories, some real funny stories with guys, Now, I stood with a guy one day. I went to the races, wanted to back a horse, and I went there for one race, 20 minutes before the last. It was called Hot Flush, and it was at Moonee Valley over 1,600. Dave Brown was riding it. I rated it at 6-4, and it was paying 16s. My mate said to me, and this guy was a professional punter, but he was an accountant. He said, I said, have a bet, Dave. And he goes, no, go and have your bet. That's all right. Came back and he said to me, now, what I want you to do, he said, I want you to put a couple of bets on for me. He said, I'll go to those 3 bookies, you go to those 2, and I want 10 over 16. I said, okay, 10 over 16. And he says, 10,000 over 16. And I fucking shit myself, because I'd never put a bet on. I had 500 on this horse this day, and that was a huge bet for me. And he's wanting me to put 20 grand on a horse, and like 10 with that bookie and 10 with that. He was doing 10 with the others. The horse won the race, but I tell you, I was filling my pants for him, and he was as calm as mustard, calm as. He said he'd always wanted to take over 500,000 out of the betting ring. That was his ultimate goal in life. And about 2.5 months after that, he died of cancer. And I used to go to the races with this guy every Saturday for 5 years. Right? He was the one that taught me the real ins and outs of ratings and the smarts of the numbers and how to do your figures and all that sort of thing. You know, and that's those sort of people you remember. I talk a lot too, boys. Yeah.
Come on,
Oh,
Steve.
lucky you are, because I'm not.
That's all right, mate. That's all right. Gaz has got some good stories. I'm sure you've had a few. I mean, I've had days where I've run around a betting ring with my whole week's wages and the fucking thing's run 10 lengths last.
We've all done that.
Yeah, thinking you've got the bet of the day.
There's one thing you learn, the more you rate. Yeah, certainties get beaten, but sometimes your average, like you say, the ones that value can get you out. You can have a day where your 3 best bets get rolled, but you can get out because your value ones get up.
Yes.
And that's why I've learnt with ratings, I'm still in there on my second or third pick. If they're valued, they're a good overlay. Yep, I'm still backing them as well.
Yeah, exactly. And guys say to me, oh, you've rated at 33s and they're offering you 120s. You know, why are you backing it at 120s? Because it's giving me value, mate. That's the way it is. And, you know, at a $100 takeout, I'm still having a $5 basic bet on something at 150 to 1. And
That's right.
To win 100 takeout, minimum bet on Betfair is $5. So I've got 5 on it and it's paying 120s and it wins. You know, I win 600.
Yep.
I feel sorry for the guy that has to pay me.
Hey, Michelle Payne winning the Melbourne Cup a few years ago. I priced that actually at 30 to 1. I think it was about my 9th pick, but I actually backed it. In a Melbourne Cup, I'll go down deep. And it was a three by overlay. So I got 100, so I was quite happy. Certainly didn't think it would win, but you know what? At those prices, in those big races over the years, the big group ones and that, where the big fields are, like you say, you can have some big cleanups where it goes down to your 7th or 8th pick.
Yep, exactly. And you can back 7 or 8 horses and profit.
Yep.
You know, knowing the numbers. And the way like Jay, do you understand ratings, Jace?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay,
yeah.
so the way a rating works is a bookmaker has to do everything over 100%, so 115%, because the 15% is his win margin. Doesn't matter who wins the race, he's still got to win his 15% to stay in profit. He doesn't always win it, right? A punter has to do all of his ratings under 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're looking for your market. So if I have something at 5 to 1 and the bookmakers on his market has offered me 15s, I back it as a 5 to 1. All right. So or say it's paying 10s. So at 5 to 1 for a takeout of 100, I have to have $20 on it.
Yeah.
5 to 1. But if it's paying 10 to 1, it wins the race. Instead of making my 100 takeout, which if I had 20 on it to win 100 at my price of 5 to 1, I'd make an $80 profit. But if the horse wins at 10 to 1, I actually make a $180 profit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and that's why you can bet up to 80% of your market, because you're trying to win your 20%, and everything is based on what they call overlays. So if your price is say 8 to 1 and you're meant to have 12 on it to win $100, and it's paying $100 and you have 12 on it, you win $1,200.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's always betting to your price, not to their price.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where a lot of guys get it wrong. They get a rating and they'll look at it and go, oh, look, it's value at $3.50, and the bookie's offering them 10 to 1. They go and put $10 on it.
Yeah. Instead of the
They're
350,
flat staking
you
it
get
off,
to
Yeah. So it's a numbers game. You've got it. That's why when you get ratings, you try and find your numbers opposite to what their numbers are. You know, because a bookmaker wants you to believe what market he's got.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they'll spruik horses and they'll talk about them, they'll talk them up, they'll do anything they can to get you to back the favourite, because they know you've got to put a lot more money on it, and they know the favourite's not going to win the race.
Yeah.
But I can look at a race, and my favourite can be 30 to 1 and I've got it at 3 to 1. I put at 3 to 1, I have to have 33 on it. If it wins the race at 33 to 1, I win 990.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you in the game.
Yeah.
You know, on the percentage side of it.
What I found kills guys who do ratings when they start betting, because I've got a couple of friends I've trained, or they've come to me for stuff, and where they struggle because they come out of the old mentality of they like a horse that's their top pick. When their top pick is an underlay, they can't leave it alone, and then it does their head in because they'll have a day where 3 underlays win as top picks, but then of course, because they're not betting from a bank, that's why you've got to have a dedicated punting bank or a percentage and you bet to that, because it's not about winning today. There's no such thing as a last race. And if you're betting in racing properly, that's the way you've got to play it separately.
Exactly. And if you have a horse at 3 to, or you rate it at 3s and they're offering you 2s, you'll actually lose money on the race if you back everything over and also back that, because you haven't backed it at the right price. If it wins the race, even if it wins the race, you haven't got your money back or your profit. And that's what guys don't get. Oh, but you know, everyone's back it. Who gives a fuck?
Yep.
You know, I'll look at a favourite and go, and sometimes I'll look at a favourite and go, you couldn't win this if you tried. You know, and then a lot of guys find it hard because they'll see you have a rated horse at 2 to 1 and it's paying 50s, and they won't back it because, it was too long in the market. The fucking things can't read.
Well, what people don't understand, and that's why with tips that people don't understand, you can price a horse at $3.60. It's on Betfair at $2.40. I've gone and allayed it at $2.60. It's then got the drift. I've then gone and backed it at $4.
Yep.
Right? So 1 minute it's a lay, but then it's a bet.
Yes.
The bottom line is, because I'm price driven, not emotion of what this is my top pick or whatever else. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a good bet at $2.40. At $4, it's a good bet.
Yes.
And I've learned that does people's heads in because they can't understand it.
Yeah, and they don't get. You can lay it at $2.40, and it gets out to $2.80.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, but if it wins the race, you're going to lose. No, I'm not going to lose because I'm going to make the increment in between.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. So it's like green booking races when you've got really, really short favourites because your liability is next to nothing.
Yep.
And you back everything else in the race, because if a horse is $1.50, the rest of the field has to be 8 to 1 or more.
Yep.
For it to give you a return.
Absolutely.
For to be able to make a return on the race.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, if you guys bet at Grafton yesterday, there was a horse called Hiroko.
Yep.
I actually had it top rated. I had it rated at even money, $2.
Yep.
And you know what? I laid it at $1.65. It got beaten. Right?
Yep.
But it was my top pick. My second pick in my market was actually at $4.50, which I backed. It got up at $6.50. Right? Yeah. So it was a good result. But I actually had that horse at even money, but I thought it was first up. It was a good lay. I'm happy to lay short-priced horses because I'm not going to lay a 10 or 12 to 1 shot because I can get killed. But I tell you what, I don't mind laying them a little bit if they're really short. And I find those horses, especially if they're first up, because you don't know how good they are. And so many, like you said before, people overback these horses first up. I don't know who goes out and tells them, but all of a sudden they think they're winks, and they just go crazy.
Yeah, because I look at when the thing that you're talking about, when they're really short, I look at the win percentage on the horse. I look at who's training the horse, and the win percentage will tell you if it's got a 12% win percent, and they're offering you $1.15 on a horse or $1.25. And you look at the trainer and his win percentage is like 8 or 9%.
Yep.
Fuck me. There's no way. And when you have small fields of 6 or 7 horses, a field of 20, they're wide open and they've got to look after their own safety. But in a field of 5 or 6, it's more concertinaed together. They're more in a group so they can watch what the other horses are doing. That's why long shots tend to pip those sort of horses. And in the country meetings, in that situation, if you have a $1.15, $1.25 horse, you can if you only have 2 of those wins out of 5, you're laying them and backing the others, it costs you nothing to back them, and over that time you'll make a profit.
Absolutely. And that was a Class 1 at Grafton. And the thing is, some of those, look, a lot of horses in Class 1s, they're not world beaters. If they're a bloody world beater, they wouldn't be running a Class 1 at Grafton. So they are inconsistent.
Yep.
Yet people these days seem to overplay. And these gooses who work at Sky Channel and all that, they all bark them up and whatever else and tell them how great they are. And it's just amazing how they overplay them. So, yeah, that's one of the things I do find that, and like you said, some of those first starters and maidens, yeah, sometimes I just watch some of the races, and I get all the sectionals of all the trials and everything, so for every 200 metres. And, yeah, I can see why they can back some of them, but they're still well overplayed. And some of them are just like, it's just crazy.
You'll get one in every 25 you've got to look at it. And a prime example was that thing at Cranbourne on Sunday in race 4, Could Mozzie Monster, trained by John Sadler, right? The day before it was $7, and on the day of the race, it was into $2.20, right? That was the first starter, and they interviewed him before it, on the phone and things like that. And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm not quite sure how it's going to go through the ground. It's been going all right, mate." Yeah, you can tell that he's just trying to put everybody off, because he doesn't back horses that heavily for no reason. And no word of a lie, it's one of my black bookers, and it's City Club. It was everyone running away by 4 lengths without, and 50 metres out, it was already pricking its ear.
Yep. Look at the last one last week at Sale, that one, the one that the email and the text went out about. They backed it off the mat. Now, that one was bloody good. I mean, that was, but geez.
Yep.
It was amazing how much money they put on that on Betfair.
Yes, exactly. And the good thing with Betfair, you can see what money's on.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. And that was serious money.
Who's got the
Because somebody alerted me about the text, and I don't usually watch them, but because I got alerted to it about 20 minutes before the race, I started watching the Betfair, and I was thinking, this is serious. Because, that text definitely went out, and then there was another text to say it wasn't that good or whatever else, but somebody was really driving that market up. And then the layers got in because it got into $1.80, $1.85.
Yeah.
On a maiden at Sale, that was 225,000 bet on that horse alone they got on.
Yep. And that's a lot of money in a maiden.
Oh, yeah, I know. But
and guys say, how can you tell when there's smart money in a race? Well, the smart money is you can see the size of the bets, and you'll see it'll be a $500,000 or $600,000 race, and one horse will be carrying $300,000 or $400,000 of that money.
Yep.
The smart boys are on those horses.
Yep.
Or they'll say, I love the ones on Sky Channel where they'll say to you, this thing's getting heavily backed, and I'll look at Betfair and think, not even fucking favourite on Betfair.
Yeah, those market movers on Sky Channel, all that. Sometimes you look at Betfair. I'd say it's being laid, and they've got it as a market mover.
Yeah.
Or the ones who are doing the best for Bet365 or whatever else on those ones, they're a joke. Those guys.
Exactly, and when you've got a Betfair, and you look at live. I mean, I've got a program that shows me all the match money and the movements and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but you can see it, and you look at it and you think, "Fuck, you guys are lying to us."
Yeah.
What a load of bullshit! Like sometimes Michelle will sit next to me, and they'll go, "Oh, they're barking this horse up. Look at this," and it's not even close to being favourite. There'll be 3 other horses that are carrying 4,000 or 5,000, or 20,000 more than the one they're trying to spruik.
So people who trust corporate bookies' tips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I only look at the ratings. I don't look at what people are tipping. One thing I'll give though, with some of them are still good tippers.
Yeah.
When you go and have a look at like Queensland Tote, 80% of the races in their 2 tippers, 80% of those races, the winner will be in those top 4. There might be, one guy might have 4 and the other one might have 2 the same, so they'll have 6 between them in the race. You know, quite often you'll see the winner amongst them.
Yep. Well, I know Clint Hutchison. I know somebody who's a very good friend with him now. I know he does the form properly, that guy, for racing.com.
Yeah.
Because he used to live off it in Hong Kong as well. So I know someone who knows him well, and he put me on. He actually is knowledgeable, and he actually does bet his own selections, because a lot of them don't. They're just journalists. But, you know.
Yeah. But
I think it's about knowing which ones are legit and which ones are just journalists who've got a job working in racing.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like that when you look at Get On. Some of those boys are good tippers.
Yeah.
Some of those guys are genuinely good tippers. And to have a job in that situation, you have to have results. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep you on.
Yeah, well, Gary Harley keeps his job.
Yes. Yeah.
If he's tipped the second favourite, he tipped the horse that was second favourite, they went to second favourite, he's back onto the favourite. He's a ripper, that guy.
Oh, is he? See,
he's terrible. They all joke about him. I mean, he is, he's the guy on 528. Yeah.
Okay.
He's that bloke.
And the guy that sort of does most of the talking on Get On, the bald guy, they give him such a hard time. I'll tell you, he's a.
Oh yeah, okay, yep.
He's a good guy, runs a great show, but he's a terrible tipper.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
he's probably just as good as me, I reckon.
Yeah.
Hey,
but the racing.com guys are definitely better than the ones working at Sky Channel. They've definitely, they know their game a lot better. The Sky Channel ones, look, half of them are, you know, they've been pretty good-looking jockeys, female jockeys in the past, so that'll get you a job, right? So as long as you've been a female jockey, you can go and do the mounting yard stuff. You can't do it if you're a male jockey, I don't think. So, you know, it's like...
Well, it's like... I love
the China Masters this well. It's not too good,
Yeah, you see a lot of people and they bag Tony Brassel.
Yep.
But you've got to remember, this guy's trying to tip in 48 races on a Saturday.
Yeah, no, he's not bad. He's got a good database, I think. I think he knows his stuff pretty well, Brassel. Yeah.
Well, he's from the Don Scott days.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. And he was, I think his brother, I think, was the editor of the Sportsman back in those days when Don Scott, Steve Brassel.
Yeah.
Right? So that's right. He's back from all that era as well. Yeah, that's right. He's old school, that guy.
Yep. And he does. And you don't take every tip that he puts up for gospel, but you really have a listen to the way he words some of the stuff.
Yep.
You know, because he does talk a lot of sense when it comes to it, and he's very experienced.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I listen to all those guys, but I go to practical places like Practical Punting, and I read as many articles as I can. I like to read all about professional punters, and then I'll do the in Betfair and on YouTube. I'll go through and I'll listen to all of the guys that talk about, like Bet Angel, scalping the markets, all those, because you only have to get one little nugget.
Oh yeah.
You're doing.
I love all those YouTube ones on the professional punters, which has been on that Star Sports now, even from the UK. He's had a lot of pro punters on recently. Yes. They interviewed Robbie Waterhouse in the last couple of weeks. Those sort of ones. That Business of Betting podcast is very good too.
Yeah.
You know that one? The Business of Betting podcast, where they interview the professionals. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the name of that one again? Sorry?
Business of Betting. It's Betfair actually sponsor it. Business of Betting podcast. It's the best series. It's up to about 160. It's got all the best pros. There's probably about 70 of them have been done on Australian. So all the best ever in Australia, have been actually interviewed. Robbie Waterhouse, the Paul Dailies and all that of this world, they've all been on there.
Yeah.
Mark Lambourne's.
A lot of people don't like Robbie Waterhouse, but he's a good punter.
He knows how to do form. I think I wouldn't trust him as far as you could throw him, but I think when he talks about form of that, he knows his form really well. I knew a guy who worked for him for a while. He really does do his ratings and all that. He's very good at that. But yeah, you wouldn't trust him. But yeah. No, and his booking service I find absolute not very good.
Yeah.
So he has a price bump. He's actually got a corporate bookie up at the moment. I put a little bit in there a few weeks ago when I got a promo, but let's just say it's a joke. When you price bump, he calls it price bump. You hit to get the better price. He's still under everybody else's odds.
For sure.
It's
I mean,
a pretty ordinary one.
I get a laugh when people say, "Oh, I'm boosting my bet," and they'll say, "I've just boosted my bet. I'm getting 7-1." Mate, it's paying 11s on Betfair.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, like
Actually, they always ban. I don't get on any of those now, except when you first get on. As soon as you back a couple of winners, they restrict you.
yep, exactly.
That's it. You won't. They have to take the minimum bet rules, but they will not give you the extras. I think like the bet returns and all this stuff that Bet Easy does. If you lose early days, they give you. I don't get any of that, or certain other ones. It's amazing. Ladbrokes early days used to give it to me. Then once you have a few winners and you win off them, they don't like it. They don't give it to you anymore.
Well, I've worked for a couple of corporate bookmakers, and when you're on there and someone comes on, it tells you straight away whether he's a winner or a loser at the top of the page when they're trying to put their bets on, and it tells you he's a plus 15 or he's a minus 5, or boost his bet. Let him boost his bet because he's a loser anyway.
Yep. What they don't like is if you actually, I play quaddies a little bit, right? Let's just say I'm banned at most of them. They won't let you on exotics. There's no minimum bet rule on exotics. And a few of my other friends I know play quaddies all right. They take you off. I don't get any provision on a few of them for exotic bets.
Okay, so if you do quaddies, do you have to go and put them on with cash?
Peppo? No, I can. There's a few do. Top Sport and all those ones are all good. Some of those bigger ones now, they're actually fair. They don't mind, right? There's a few of them, but other ones will ban you, right? Yeah. Sports bet, those sort of ones, and Bet Easy and that, they won't touch you.
Yeah, well, it's like me with first falls and trifectas. I only do them in group ones now.
Right.
And I go in and I put it on with cash.
Right.
You know, because then they can't deny it to you.
Yep.
And then
I share my love on a few of them as well. And I purposely, I bet on a few sports bets now and golf and that on a couple of them to trick them, because I take, somebody put me on a few of them. If you want to get on a little bit, you have a few small bets on different things so they don't pick up what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So,
Well, they hate like us. They hate percentage punters.
Yeah, no. And they don't like you if you arb. So if I've got to back 3 horses in the one race, I'm backing with 3 separate corps if I have to. Never on the same one. They don't. Yeah. That's where they get you. As soon as you back a couple and you start winning, or if you do your own markets, as you know, if you reckon the horse is going to be 6-1 and it's now betting 12s and I've got on early because I've taken the 12s, even if it loses, you do that a few times, in they come and start restricting you. William Hill, before they went out of business, which was great, out of Australia, I would get on. They would limit me to $4. If the horse was $12, they'd offer me $5 on it. It was a joke. I hit them for a little bit. And you know what? I rang them up once and had a go at them because I backed a couple of country winners, and the guy said, "You didn't declare that you were doing your own stuff. You were too good for us. We don't want you. Take your money out."
And that's exactly what they say.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And they don't tell you. All of a sudden, they just don't take your bet.
Yeah, and that's why it just rotates and rotates and rotates, because they don't want your bet.
That's right. That's why
Betfair is good. Or you've got to change your price. That's why I only bet with Betfair.
Yep.
You know, and I do probably I take the chance and take most of my bets on starting price.
Right. Okay. Betfair Exchange. Betfair SP.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I find I will 90% of the time I'm always going to get a better price.
Has anyone noticed what's been happening in the last 6 or 8 weeks re Victorian Tote, and why certain short-priced horses are paying after they jump a lot better?
Yeah, I have, but I use the info, but I don't bet with them.
No, I don't either, but I'm saying, if you look at dynamic odds, because I follow dynamic odds, which gives me all the different, so I know where the odds. So there's a particular well-known person who's probably the biggest player, was in Australia, but now out of the country and still got his people going, who can cancel his bets. So have a look. And what he's doing is he's obviously betting him, cancels the bet on the one he wants, and surprise, it'll pay $3.10 New South Wales, Queensland, $4 Victoria. It's happening consistently. People are talking about it left, right and centre, and no one's doing anything about it. It's known they're betting them offshore at that offshore exchange where they pay Victorian tote odds. But it's amazing. You can see it on dynamic odds. It'll jump. You can work out that it was the shorter priced one. He cancels the bet because everyone backs the overs on the other states and on that state. They obviously cancel the bet because they're the only ones who can after they jump, and out it goes and it pays the best odds. So you can see he's backed it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's happening it's happening 3 or 4 times a day at the moment.
And there's nothing you can do about it because you can't get on those horses.
No, well, you can back best tote. So I've started backing best tote with a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
Right, and Top Sport actually aren't bad. A lot of people are getting on with Top Sport. There's another one, Dave Dwyer in Sydney, who's with Best Bookies. He lets you on as well. These guys are okay. They don't restrict you if you're getting on, and they'll let you on for a reasonable amount.
All right. So
okay,
you guys are all taking this in.
Yeah. Well, that's what
this is little nuggets on how you can make that percentage, because to make money at horse racing, you've got to have a percentage of about 10 to 15% to be profitable when you're doing it. And I agree with you, Gary. You have to write down every single bet you do, and then you have to analyse it, and then you've got to look at where your pluses and your minuses are and the type of betting you're doing, and then stick to it. Yeah, it's like with me. I stick to Brisbane racing and I stick to Melbourne racing because there's 25,000 horses running around in Melbourne. If you think you can do every state, if you don't have the programming and the time to do it, and guys, I love the guys that say to me, I don't have time to do the form, so I grab my paper and I start at 12 o'clock on a Saturday and I'll try and have a bet in most races. Mate, you're never going to make any money.
Mm.
And I don't like to say it to some guys, but it's a numbers game. Kev, have you got your horse?
Yeah. She's she got broken in over Christmas.
Yep.
And she had a spell, and then she just did a little prep with, and she's just been in the paddock for a few months now because she's a late foal and she's big. She's only 2.5, so she's a 3-year-old now.
Yeah.
So I'm just letting her grow into her legs.
No, not many horse owners do that, mate.
Yeah, well, I've waited too long to ruin her.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get her on the track,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're looking at it long term, because if you have a horse that can mature and stay in the game for 4 or 5 years and they're reasonable, you can make money out of them. It's like that the thing on the weekend, something, what was it? Something Wolf. It was a horse that it ran at Casterton on Sunday, and it had it won its 20th start on Sunday. And the thing that guys go, but it hasn't won much. Mate, if you've got a horse that can win you 20 races, and even if the winning purse is only 25, 30,000, that's a great return for a racehorse. A 25% win rate, Jesus, you couldn't complain at that. And that's my motto with horses in the past is put them in the easiest race you can possibly get them into that's winnable.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what they carry in weight or anything like that, but that's what I like about races. And to have a good horse, you've got to have patience like you've got, Kev.
Yeah, well, I'm hanging to get her back going now, but she's due to get back into training now.
Who's going to train her?
I'm not sure yet. I was probably going to go with Toby Edmonds.
Yeah. Well, you can't go much wrong. Does he like her?
Well, he hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay.
She's been out at Fenwick Farm. You know Fenwick Farm?
Yeah.
Next door to with Greg Bennett out there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
But no, I haven't. Well, like I say, she's been in the paddock. I've just been taking my times, and I haven't actually even spoken to a trainer yet, apart from out there.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, boys, we've been going for an hour. Has anyone got
okay.
any other questions? How are you going, Johnny? You're very quiet tonight.
Yeah, just having a listen, Timmy.
No? You're a good listener, mate.
Yeah. No, I'm going fine, mate. Yeah, just having a listen to what's going on.
Yeah. Well, like I said to the boys, what I'm trying to do is build a community so we can, it's not how many people on here, it's the sort of bits and pieces you can learn. So what I do with this also is I'll put it up as a little podcast on the live page so other people can listen to what we talk about.
Absolutely.
I've had guys on here that have had Group 1 winners. I'm going to try and push to see if I can get a couple of jockeys or a couple of trainers to come on to have a chat with us.
Excellent.
You know, I've got a really good thing where I went to a dinner a few years ago with Peter Moody, which I'm going to post in the next week. All right, which I suggest you have a listen to because he talks about black caviar and the training and the things that went on with him and things like that. And it was a great luncheon, and it's about 15 minutes of him talking, and then I've got another one with 33 minutes of him just talking about what it took to get black caviar from start to finish. And that's a real eye-opener. And that's just, he was just being just a down-to-earth sort of person, which he is. And
He is, mate, yeah.
yeah, and that was probably the most enjoyable day I've ever had at a luncheon. You know, it was him and Wayne Wilson talking to each other on stage. You know, so it was a great insight into how that side of, and he talks about, you know, when he got ousted and all that sort of thing. You know, the bits and pieces on that. And I know this is something that is completely different to what we normally listen to. So mate, as far as I'm concerned, him getting ousted was a tragedy to racing in Australia. Well, that was just terrible. And for what it was over, just absolute garbage. Exactly. You think about it, they don't really, in a way, know how Cobalt comes about.
No.
In a way, when you listen to the way they all talk, he gets one positive when he's training 300 horses.
Yeah.
And he loses his whole business over it. And then it comes up further down the track where other guys don't get ousted, but they get huge fines. They get let back into racing, and he's done 3/4 of his personal fortune.
Oh, mate, he was made an example.
Exactly. Yep. And when you listen to it, it just opens your eyes to what goes on in the game.
Yeah.
I'm not bagging stewards or anything like that, but some of them think they're gods. They point the finger and they don't. Some of them you think, really? I mean, some of these guys have got such huge livelihoods on the line and they get done for one positive.
Yeah, why would a trainer, a very good trainer and a very successful trainer who's got, as you said, Tim, something like 300 horses under him, why would he risk that livelihood on one horse?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And the funny thing was, Peter Moody said, because he sat next to me at the luncheon, which was the most, because I had a great chat with him for a while.
Lucky man.
To me, he said, I can train horses, but I'm the worst fucking punter in the world. And that's saying something when you've got horses that are winning every week.
I've heard him say that before, mate. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. He said, they shouldn't put $1 in my pocket because I'll fucking lose it every time. Yeah, so that was just one of the things. Anyway, boys, why don't we call it quits? And
can I just quickly say g'day to Kevin?
Yep.
G'day, Kev. I haven't met you before. And I'm John, mate. And
Oh, John.
mate, you're doing, as far as I'm concerned, you're doing the right thing with your horse, mate. Yeah, just take it easy with it. Make sure it's got strength in it. I reckon we race horses way, way, way too early here in Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we race them when they're just gangly little bloody pieces of shit, and we offer up way too much money for those horses to win races.
Yeah.
You know, we've got $1 million races for 2-year-olds that they should be sitting in a paddock eating grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I see you, John. You're on the next page for me.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Kev, you'll get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm using my phone.
Okay. So, guys, I do this on a Sunday as well. I mean, my members, I do it on a Friday night with my members in the pro group, where we just talk about the weekend's racing. But I do this on 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon as well. And I'll do it every Tuesday night, and I'll keep building it until we can get a good community of guys. If you have any questions at all, when you see this tag come up on the Facebook page, just put in a question so we can put it to the group and everyone can have a talk about it. All right, so we can all put our 2 fives with them.
It was good listening to you talking about betting earlier. Because, like, I work with horses and I've got mine. But I'm a mug punter too, and listening to you guys talking about laying and all the percentages and all that. I know I've talked to you before, Tim, but you know, some of it's still up here over my head. You know?
But you know what? The
betting that way.
Yeah. The thing with me, Kev, is if you want someone to give you a bit of a hand or a bit of knowledge or whatever, or just a little bit of help, that's what we're here for. This isn't about me wanting to sell shit to people. This is about help guys so they can make. I'd rather you win $100 a week than keep losing the 100 a week. That sort of thing, you know. And it's these little things you can do to make that difference. Even though I put the free tips in that up, you still got to go and have a look at how the numbers fall into place with them. You know, it's the same as with my accelerator page. I say to guys, you can't bet every horse, but you can pick and choose 4 or 5 that are going to point you in the right direction. If you put the right 3 together, you get a good multi for the day. And I'll give you an example of the way the accelerator. It's been going 40. It's been up for 40 betting days. The new concept of it, which is 1 horse a race with the ratings with it. In those 40 days, there's been, I think, 12 horses that have paid better than $24. Now, that's $24 out to $70.60. If you only had $10 on it, and on average, there's 3 horses a day that are paying better than 20 to 1 off the top rater. So I give you the top rater in a race, and then anything that's paying better than 20 on the total or whatever. If you had put $10 on those horses from day one, the top 3 per day, that works out at $1,200, right? The return has been, and then the cost of the accelerator, which was $27. So, and it's way cheaper doing it with the pro. This is just an example of what I'm giving you. At the end of it, it's $10,600 return and an $8,600 profit. And that's using Betfair starting price. So if you looked at it, if you used it and you did the 3 overs each time, and you did it on a percentage basis, not on the, and if you did it onto the price, you know, like the horse that paid $70.60, I rated it $3.30. So if you had turned around, you're trying to win 100 at $3.30, that's $33 times $70.60. That's $2,329 return for a $33 bet if you're trying to take $100 out of the market. Yeah, that's huge. That's 2,000% more than what you should win.
Yeah.
So that's how you use the right sort of information. It's the same as with Gary. He would come up with a race and he would see something and he'd rate it, think, shit, that's 2 to 1, and they're offering me 50 to 1. I bet you Gary would have a good go at that, because those sort of horses don't come up all the time. You know, like the weekend 3 weeks ago at Doomben and at was it Flemington or Caulfield, I had Dexalation in Melbourne, right? I rated that at 2-1 and it paid 27 starting price. And I had Phantom Falcon at 3-1 and it paid 36s. Right? So if you were doing, say, if you're taking the overs and that, and there's not many of those sort of overs, but if you took 27 times 36 times $10 for a multi, that's $9,720. That's fucking ridiculous. That's how you have to look at small, but you don't have to be a big punter. You just got to be smart when you do it. You know, and I say to the guys, I put the best bets up, but you've got to look at the numbers, how the numbers fall in place. You know, if it's a money mover, it's a top rated. Say I rated it like the one I said I rated $1.75 in Sydney, and they were off me $5.60. That to me is all of the numbers fall into place, and it was the top 100 rater as well on the tote. And it was number 8 in race 8 at Sydney, I think it was. So I can't remember the name of it. But that's just an example, guys, of what, you know, the way I look at doing racing. And it's not so much that you're a mud punter, Kev, you haven't got the time to put into it. So I say to guy, I said to a guy, he said, how much do you punt a month? And he said, oh, probably $1,500. I said, how's that going? He said, I'm losing every month. Okay. So if you put $197, like my information, and you got 20 days of punting, and you did this percentages of it, at the end of the month you were $1,000 in front. Is that a bonus? He goes, yeah. I said, well, that's what guys don't get when they're doing it. They don't get you. You have people like Gary that helps other people and keeps the information amongst themselves, you know, because we have the time to do it. And we believe in what we do. You know, I want you guys, I want all of my people to make money. Even the guys that don't buy stuff off me, I don't care. I still try and find them winners. You know, and I give plenty of free shit away because I want guys to win money.
Yep.
You know, I want them to, at the end of the day, go, fuck yeah, I had a fucking great day. You know? And that, because you know, a lot of guys, they've got families, they've got kids to look after, their missus hates them having a bed. You know, that sort of thing. My missus, I'm like Gary's place. I see pictures on his walls and everything. I've got pictures everywhere around here. I've got members here. You know, I live and breathe horse racing.
Same here. I've got a racing room just for that.
So have I, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got memory, like Bart Cummings things that have been, you know, signed, and Glenn Boss and all sorts of things.
That's Malcolm Johnson signed mini Kingston Town Silks behind me. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Funny.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not the only one.
Yeah. That's the same one, I'd say. Yeah. Was my favourite horse. I did start in that era.
Yes, so did I. Yep. On Manicato era.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. You know, Manicato, Rancher, you know,
all those. Absolutely.
Better Loosen Up, all of them. You know, Vo Rogue.
Yeah, my favourite, Vo Rogue. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, in those days, I was losing my shirt every weekend.
Yep. Hey, we all start off that way, but that's what you said. And what you do is you hone your skills in, and you get better by You actually win by losing because you get so. The thing, once you start doing ratings, what happens is you get addicted to it.
Yes.
Right. It's like an amazing hobby.
Yes.
And then you really get into the form, and I tell you what, it's one thing when you really get into doing it, and you've done it yourself, and you've beaten the market, right? Like Tim was saying, and you've got it right over. It's a great thrill. It's a great thrill.
And I'll tell you why ratings work and why it gives you a thrill is because you'll look at a race and you're going, how the fuck can that be the top-rated horse in this race with that sort of form? But when you look right into the past or the form, you start seeing, like Desolation, I had it 2-1, right? Came up from South Australia.
Yeah.
The start before, I thought, wow, that wasn't a very aggressive ride. He lost by, I think, was a half a neck or whatever it was. But all of his wins were in that track condition and that distance, right? And they were spruiking something in the race big time. And Desolation, won the race, paid $27. They're the horses that you just go, this is why I do ratings.
Mm.
Yeah, and what Tim said before, I tell you, is a great, for anyone starting, if you're taking a service like he's offering, and then you start doing your own form in a similar race, it's even better, because then you're seeing how someone else is doing it, then you sort of start to compare. It's a really good thing to do. And once you do, it's a great way of getting in, and because he's obviously doing a variety of a lot of races, it gives you a lot of different, variety of races as well. So it is good to do that.
Yeah, and the other thing with it, guys, is when it comes to it, I try and teach you how you can walk into TAB without a form guide and work out what's a good bet. And ratings is what will send you in the right direction every time. That 100 rater, because statistically it's the best horse in the race. So I'll give you an example. You look at a rater, and the top rater is the 100 rater, and it's paying 20-1 on the toe. And you have a look at it, and the second horse in the race is on the limit of the race. He's carrying 57. He's carrying, the top weight's carrying 59. The next horse, number 2 in the race, is 54, down to the last horse race carrying 54. But they're offering 20s. Now, the reason the bookies want you to think it's not a very good horse is because it's carrying that weight. The reason it's carrying a 4 or 5 kilo difference is because it is the class animal in the race.
And that's how it's rated.
Yeah.
That's
how you can look at them. Or you look at them and there's 3 points between first and last, meaning the top rate is 100-1, hundreds, and the bottom rated horse in the race is 95. Okay, so every 3 points is 1 length. So that's a length and a quarter between first and last.
So they don't know who's going to win.
Sorry?
So they don't know who's going to win that.
Exactly.
That's right.
So that's where you get value in the race, mate. That's where you look at it and you go, you know what? And then you can go to Betfair Live and you'll have a look, and all of the horses have got major backing, meaning in the match money, they've all got the same sort of money. No one really knows. That's when you pick out a couple of 20-1s and a 50-1 and whatever that's got reasonable form. And then you'll look at another rated race, and the top 2 in the race are 199. The next one, the race might be 85. So there's 4.5 lengths between first and second, and then from second to third, it's that much difference. Those 2 have got the major chance of winning the race. They're great horses to take to run first and second, field for third for a trifecta. And it doesn't matter what prices they take. I'll tell you a story. This is one. I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, I was working at the Chevron Hotel on the Gold Coast, and I gave a girl $28 to put a first 4 on for me. And the first 4 was, I had 1 horse to win, 1 horse to run second, 1 horse to win, 1 horse to run second, and then I had 6 horses to run second and third, and I wanted it for $30, right? She went up there, and the girl said, oh, you're $2 short. So the girl never put it on. She brought it back to me, and I missed the race. That first 4 cost me $82,000.
Oh, no.
Right? Because the first 2 horses that I had rated in the race, one was paying 25s, and the second one was paying 20s, and 2 of my other horses were 50s, and they ran first, second, third, and fourth. And I missed out over $2 because she didn't realise that you could put it on for a percentage. That's a story. That's a story that'll make your hair curl. And I was working as the head chef there, and it was a Saturday, and and just one of those days. And I got someone else to put it on, to go up and put it on, and my mistake, I didn't give her enough money. So you don't. And she felt sick for days over it.
Oh, she would. Imagine how you'd feel.
Yeah, and I just said, hey, it's my fault. It's not yours. That's punting. It's like with a race. The moment the race is over, if it runs second, there's fuck all you can do about it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. You just take the good with the bad. Anyway, boys, let's call
Yeah,
it.
right.
We're going an hour and a half.
Thanks.
Don't forget, Sunday, 4 o'clock. If
I'll be in.
you want to know any info, or Gary, you want to have a chat about racing or whatever, send me a message or an email or whatever. And
I flicked you an email. Did you get an email from me?
did I?
Yeah.
Just send it to Tim at RaceBiz.
Yeah, I did on Sunday.
Oh, did you? Hold on, mate. I'll just have a quick look.
After we had a chat on Sunday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I put my phone on it because you said I had to have a chat.
Yeah, got it here. Yeah, I didn't see it there, mate. I'm very, very sorry.
No, that's okay.
That's right. But what I'll do is I'll send you an email back. I've got your phone number. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
No worries, mate. Speak.
All right,
Thanks.
what's the best time to call you? I don't want to call you when you're punting.
Oh, okay. Tomorrow, yeah, look, anytime after, between 10 and 12 is fine. Whatever suits you.
Okay, well, it'll be between 11 and 12.
Yeah, okay. No worries.
That's about, I had that little bit of leeway before the races start.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Okay.
Now,
Speak then.
Johnny,
Yeah.
we have to organise a time to get together because we've got to take you through the format.
Yep, mate. It'll be probably Sunday next week.
Okay, you just let me know. Kevin,
Yeah.
if you want any help, whatever, send me a message.
Yep, I
All
will
right?
actually in the next
you
day or
probably
so.
got my number. And Jason, really appreciate you coming on. Hope you come on again.
Yeah, I'll try and get there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you have any questions, guys, write them all down. Either put them in the comments when the next one comes up on Sunday or whatever, and then we'll just talk about them when they come on.
Yeah, I guess been watching this horse. It's racing tomorrow. Sandown race 3 looked sharpish. It's coming from about 20 to 1 to 3 to 1.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Which
I think
race?
so. Look
Oh,
sharpish. Number 5. Race 3.
Race 3 at Sandown. Let me have a look.
Look sharpish.
Yeah.
I've got it rated at 9 to 1 at this stage.
Yeah, well, I've just downloaded Betfair and it's got it the back at 3.9, the lay at 5s.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you know about the Corsons. They've got that new track up in the back of Victoria now, that new block that farm. So remember Dave Brown, many years ago, used to be South Australia, went to Singapore. He used to have a track like it, and he won 3 derbies in a row in South Australia. Now, they're doing the same concept. And the other thing tomorrow with that look sharpish, Dwayne Dunn's riding it. He would be one of my favourite jockeys, by far.
Yeah, right.
By far. I just think he's just a class rider. Anyway, boys, have a good night.
Gotcha.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. And
Thanks again, Tim.
See ya. Bye.
Pleasure,
See you all.
boys.